This is, sorry about that. Amy Ford here with the Blunt Partnership. I've had two cups of green tea and 2 cups of coffee, so I'm just like, whoa. So I'm happy to see you all. Stephen Duker, I see you cracking up. I'm glad to make you laugh this morning. Glad you all are here and joining us, and I'm going to keep letting folks in as we move along here. I will be muting you all here in just a moment because I don't need 60-something participants because that's how many registered today, everybody talking at once. So my friend Jeremy LeDuc and Tanya Latham, adore both of them. I have known Jeremy for a very long time. Very excited that he's doing what he's doing with his company. Even more excited that Tanya hooked up with Jeremy and they make a dynamic duo. So we're in for a treat on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn for me is probably one of those platforms that I look at. I accept requests. I very rarely I do send requests, but then that's really all I do with it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what they're going to say today. So I think they're going to do it in 2 or 3 parts, and we're going to reserve our questions to the end, and we will answer those one at a time out loud because we are recording this, and we do want to we'll be pushing it out later today or tomorrow to anybody else that wants to take advantage of it. When you do your chat, make sure you do it public. Don't do it to me because I am going to be popping in and out a little bit. So any question that you have, if you will put it in chat to the full group. And at the very end, we also have a poll. And so can y'all not?
You're muted.
Who muted me?
Not me.
Not us.
Somebody did. So what? The whole thing?
No, just like the last 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. No, I'm teasing. I'm gonna start. So I don't know what happened. I think somebody like Jeff or Bruce muted me or something. But anyway, poll questions at the end. Please take a moment to take those. And at this time, then I will turn it over. Jeremy, am I starting with you this morning?
No, Tammy's actually leading this off, so I'll pass it over to Tammy.
Tanya.
Tanya. Tanya, sorry.
Let me tell you, if you want me to lead this, I can do it. No.
Good morning. Believe it or not, he actually knows who I am. He signs my paychecks. So, first of all, I want to say welcome. We're excited that you all are with us this morning and that we're all in this together to learn how that we can make LinkedIn the best platform possible for personal and professional growth. But just by raising your hands, first of all, tell me who remembers your original LinkedIn experience. Do you remember going on and thinking this is an online resume and all I have to do is just make sure that I've got a profile up there? I'm going to scan. Do you raise your hands or not? I don't see any hands. I see hands raising. Awesome. LinkedIn has changed, and it's changed for the better. And we're getting the opportunity to sit on that gold mine that's going to help us all with our professional and our personal growth with this. One of the first things I want to encourage you is that LinkedIn is not just another platform, and it's not just another Facebook. It's also not just your online resume anymore. It has transitioned from being that recruitment platform to being your valuable networking and content marketing platform. The cool thing about LinkedIn is its algorithms actually gives favor toward business connections. And that's good for any potential branding you want to do or for your personal goals for ever how you want to grow in your career. The second thing is that all those connections are extremely solid and valuable. 4 out of 5 people on LinkedIn describe themselves as driving business decisions. So the people that you're going to connect with on LinkedIn are actually the decision makers and have influence. One of the best parts that I love about LinkedIn is there's not all the clutter. I love Facebook. I love Instagram. I love that we get the ability to connect on a personal level on those platforms. But there's also a lot of other things that we talk about on those platforms. We talk about our families. We share our vacation photos. We have amazing and sometimes not so nice political discussions on those other platforms. We're not going to see that over on LinkedIn. We have a far more business-focused platform with LinkedIn. So you're going to get the opportunity to create that impact you want without all the additional clutter. So when used well, LinkedIn can help you build that personal brand and your business brand and boost traffic to your business. But like anything that we do, strategy matters. If you walk away with nothing else today, I want you to walk away with that LinkedIn is not just another thing that you have to do. It's part of accomplishing whatever business goals you have. So like we start with anything in marketing, one of the first things that I'll ask you to do is, what are your business goals? What are your professional or personal goals that you want to accomplish? So rather than, oh my golly, I've got to just go do this, how does this fit in to what you already want to make happen? So think of it as another tool in your toolkit that can build that house that you're building. Just like we start any house building with a foundation, the first piece that you have to have is a really good portfolio. So that's where we start with LinkedIn, is how do you create and highlight that portfolio that you want? One of my favorite authors is Henry David Thoreau. And in Walden, he made a statement that I've quoted for years. If you've built your castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That's where they should be. Now build those foundations beneath them. So that's what we get the opportunity to do with a really good portfolio. And just like anything that we start with, the face of it is valuable. So find that great picture of you. If you're not as familiar with the platform, you'll notice that when you go on the platform, one of the first things that you see looking for other connections are the photos. Find that picture of you that best fits who you are now and want to be. Don't show me that picture from 20 years ago. We all know that's not you. And we've all used that picture, unfortunately. But find that photo that if I met you in person, I would recognize you. Also find that photo that matches who you're building your profession to be. If you are in a more formal profession, then yes, you'll probably use a more formal photo. If you're in a creative profession, then use a creative type photo. But on that photo, you want your face to be about 50 to 75% of it. You do not want a group shot. You want this to be you and you alone. And you want to be smiling in that photo. We've all seen those that unfortunately, they must have been taken on that person's worst day of their life. We don't want that for your photo. You may have to play around and find the right one for you, but size it out and work it up really well for you. The next section that you get to really put some creativity to and to help define who you are is the cover photo. The best relation for that is think about the banners over on Facebook. The cover photo is similar over on LinkedIn. It can be directly related to your business, but this is your personal page. So think about what you want to get across there. I actually have a Thoreau quote on my cover photo. So think through what you want to be known for and how you can best build that with that cover photo. Also, these are changeable. All of these things that we're going to be talking about today need to be continually updated over time. If you find one that you like better in the future, great. Change it out. throughout your whole portfolio section, you've got some options to add in what works best for you, and you don't have to include everything. But your summary and your description are two of the places that people see you first. Your summary does not have to just be your job title. It can be, if that's what you want to be known best for. So think through what you want that summary to be. Mine says that I'm a marketeer and a social media maven and a Trekkie and a believer in all that is good. That's one of the first descriptions that someone sees of me. They get the marketing right off top, but they also know I'm probably a little bit geeky because I am a Star Trek fan. So that's okay. How do we want to be known for? Those are also changeable. Continually work on those. What's that best piece that you're putting forward there that people can relate with? People connect with people. We don't connect with businesses. We connect with each other. So what you're building in your profile is something that someone can grab onto and say, hey, I have some relation to that. I have familiarity with that. I'd like to know that person better. One of the things that we've always seen on LinkedIn is the experience section. On old resumes, we called that work history. Don't think of this section necessarily as just as listing all the jobs you've had, but list the experience that's going to connect you with who you want to be connected with. And when you do list your experience, don't list it just as your job description. We all know that we certainly have certain things that we do in jobs. That's not what we're needing to see here. What do you want to be recognized for? What gives you the most impact? Why should someone want to get to know you or connect with you in that area? It may be that you are using LinkedIn to connect and grow and potentially find your next job. Highlight yourself in your experience. You also don't have to list every single job you've had. We've all seen those resumes and we've all seen those LinkedIn profiles where the first job starts back in 1996 when they worked at Subway. Subway has nothing to do now with where they're going or what they want to be, not negating the Subway experience at all, but build out your experience section to show your value where you are now and where you want to be. Our community is unique. I've had the privilege of working 21 communities throughout Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky. And in this community, we have two resumes. We have a professional and a community resume. In Blount County and in our surrounding areas, but primarily Blount, we want to know, what are you doing to help impact and change our community on the volunteer level? So your volunteer positions are going to be extremely valuable for connecting personally in this area. Talk about what you are doing, what you have done, and rearrange those sections so that you can put what's most important right now toward the top. I do connect with people on LinkedIn when I see, hey, we have a similar experience. They've worked with Family Promise. They've worked with United Way. They've worked with the Blount Partnership. I know that we have that connection that we can build off of. So we want to show that. And also, it's okay to talk about you. I've debated on how to share this and talk about this, but I was raised by a wonderful Southern mama, and we didn't brag about ourselves. And you all may be shaking your heads out there too, but it's okay to highlight your accomplishments. You have those accomplishments, and this is where we get them out there. It's also okay to talk about the impact that you made through your volunteer commitments. That's why we do it. We want to see change. We want to be the change in our communities. So put that information out there so that we can all connect. There are a lot of categories that you can build your profile page with. And there's some pull down sections that you can continually build with. we're going to pop up and show you so that you can add and you can delete the sections that you want on your profile. You do not have to have them all, but you can have everything from projects that you've worked on. If you're in a very specific field and you've partnered with other people on projects, on articles, on things that have had great impact, share that out there. If you have featured articles that you want to put out there, share that. This is your opportunity to design and create your profile so that you can connect with the people that are most valuable to you and that you can bring value to them. Now, as you're writing all your narratives, and as we talked about, it's a little hard sometimes to write about ourselves, but this is your virtual first impression. So paint yourself in that favorable light so that you can build these virtual connections. It's hard sometimes, I'll be honest, when we don't have that face-to-face interaction. And being the extrovert that I am, I have to work through that and figure out how can I make those connections virtually that I can build in person later in the future. That's okay. Think about all those areas that people would want to connect you with on. Some of them may not even be directly related to your current business, but they show your passions and your interests that complement your business. You may have a blog or a vlog going on that highlights your writing talents or shows your engagement in the community or shows how you want to create community impact. This is a great opportunity to get that shared out there also. Now, what we've talked about right now has been the free profile section. LinkedIn offers multiple paid account options, and all that comes back to what are your goals that you want to accomplish within LinkedIn. Do you want to connect and have a certain number of inbox messages that you can send? Do you want to see who's been watching your page and looking at your profile? Do you want to apply for so many jobs so you need to know a whole lot more information about people? That's where I would encourage you, reach out and look at the paid accounts sections so that you can see which one of those might work for you. There's 4 different levels, but what I would encourage you first to consider is that you can do a month free on those paid accounts. So before you go into that free month, look at everything that each level can accomplish and devise your plan. What do you want to accomplish with it? What are your goals at the end of 28 days? And try that free month. See if you put the effort into it to make it happen and what results did you get out of it. Again, everything comes to what you want to accomplish out of LinkedIn and how you want to be viewed and how you want to be connected. So that's our first section on LinkedIn. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy so that he can walk us through our next section. And again, please put your questions in chat. We would love to go over those at the end.
Thanks, Tanya. So real quick, we've got a poll that we want to do. And we had these in the presentation. That's what I was fumbling around. We had them kind of split out, but I think our poll is all in one. So we've got about 5 questions to ask. And so we'll go ahead and do that now. And then when we get to each question, we'll just go over the responses and see how you all answered. So I'm going to pop this up really quick. And yeah, there's 4 questions. So just go through, answer those, and then we will get going to talk about how to optimize your connections. All right, we're almost there. We've got 7 more people, 6 more people. We'll give them one more minute, and then we'll call it. Can you all see the results as they're coming in on your screen? No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 10 more seconds. Get your answers in if you are still working on it. All right. So this is interesting. So the first question is, when was the last time you updated your LinkedIn profile? 27% said in the past week, which is great. I don't know if that includes right now while Tanya was walking you through how to do it or not, but if you've done it the past week, that's fantastic. The past month is 20%. Past year is the majority, 37%, and 17% of you said, I'm supposed to update. Yes, you are, and you can. So hopefully you will once you log off of here. Our next question is, have you invited someone to connect on LinkedIn this week? And it was split almost 50-50, but the majority did say that they have invited someone to connect this week. So it was 53% yes, 47% no. And then have you posted on LinkedIn in the past 7 days? Again, it was flip-flopped. Yes was 43%, no was 57%. So good, it's good information. It's kind of fascinating. So hopefully we're going to help bring those numbers up at the end of this. So, close to 100% of us are updating our profile, at least within maybe the last month, and then posting and connecting with people. We're hoping to help bring that number up as well. So I want to talk to you really quick about optimizing your connections. So the power of LinkedIn is really, it's in your connections. Most of us on this call today spend a lot of time at networking events, benefit events, those type of things, because we know the power of relationships. We know the value of keeping both our personal and our business identity or brand in front of other people. And we count on other people being at the chamber coffees and other things, or on Zoom meetings now. LinkedIn gives us the opportunity to not only foster relationships with those people, but it also gives us the ability to find people in positions that will help our business the most, either as direct prospects or as possible referral partners. If you aren't actively seeking out new connections on LinkedIn every week or more, then you're missing an incredible opportunity. And if you don't have a strategy for how you're reaching out, then you might just be cluttering your newsfeed on LinkedIn with posts from people who aren't adding a lot of value to your goals. And so I want to give you 4 things to think about and 4 ways that you can optimize your connections on LinkedIn. The first is being intentional about reaching out. We also need to be strategic about reaching out. We want to add value through our engagement, and we want to acknowledge the value that others in our network are giving us. Give me 1 second. I got my slides out of order. Okay. So let's talk about being intentional about reaching out. If you aren't in the habit of it already, I recommend that you set aside 30 minutes or more every week to go through those potential connections. LinkedIn will give you suggestions of who to connect with. They'll use their algorithms to say, hey, you went to the same university, or you've worked at in a similar industry. You may be interested in connecting with these people. So I highly recommend to get in there about 30 minutes every week and look through those and see who you can connect with. The more quality connections that you have, the better chance you have of growing your business and your own sphere of influence. If you're a business owner, this helps you grow the value and the standing of your business. If you're not a business owner, then this helps you increase your own market value. no one owns you, right? If you're an employee somewhere, no one owns you. You always have been and always will be a free agent. And so you can use your LinkedIn profile to really build your value, not only to your current employers, but also to possible future employers as well. And as an employer, I encourage you, if you do own a business and you have employees, understand that your employee's LinkedIn profile is not yours. You hope that people will use it to help build whatever business they're a part of, but at the end of the day, it is theirs, and so there needs to be a respect of that. I encourage and ask our team members to interact with what we're doing on LinkedIn, but at the end of the day, that is theirs. So I encourage you to make sure those boundaries are in place. When you start reaching out, don't just go down the list and just click invite, because the second thing that you need to do to optimize your connections on LinkedIn is really being strategic about who you're connecting with. What is your goal for your personal LinkedIn account? What are you hoping to accomplish? Is it to make more sales? Is it to become a thought leader? Is it to get a new job? And so defining what that goal is will help you figure out what you need to do and how to measure your success through your interactions on LinkedIn. Here are 3 simple questions you can ask yourself when you are considering connecting with someone on LinkedIn. The first is, can I learn something from them? I go out and I search out folks in my industry that I can learn from, that are experts, that are well known, they are the thought leaders, sometimes on a national level, and sometimes on a local level. I'll go and find them because they're posting good things, and I can learn by seeing what they're doing. So can you learn something from them? Can your product, your expertise, or your service be of value to them? And this is something to be really honest with yourself about. Don't just make a connection to make a connection. Think about, can you add value to them, or can they add value to you? You want to utilize your time and your bandwidth on LinkedIn. And so curating those connections is an important part of that. The next is, will your product, service, or expertise be of value to people in their network? So, and I was challenged with this recently, that even though someone in a particular industry might not be a good prospect for us, or there might not be a great connection there, they may be in a network with other folks that could use our product or service, or vice versa. So consider the connections that they have, and can that be valuable to you and your goals? In my experience, I've learned that there are certain professions and industries that check more of those boxes than others. And I found that those connections are the most valuable and give me the most value out of LinkedIn. Sometimes I look for someone in a specific role, maybe at a specific company, and sometimes I go out and look for someone, a specific person. So for instance, if you meet someone at a trade show or a conference or in a Zoom meeting, I suggest follow up with them and make that connection on LinkedIn if you haven't already. And it should go without saying that your friends, your local business associates, those are people that you should be connected with on LinkedIn, just to build those relationships. So a lot of people wonder when you're making those connections, if you should send a message with the invite or not. It can be kind of a hot topic. There are strong opinions both ways on, do you just hit invite or do you, write out a personalized note? There's people on both sides of the fence. I personally don't lean on the personal invite message a whole lot, probably because I'm more of an introvert. If you're an extrovert and you just want to get your words out there to people, you might want to do that. But there's not a lot of great science on what works best in those situations. I will say this: if you do decide to make a personal message, make it authentic. The more it seems canned or copied and pasted, the less response it's going to get. if you have a genuine personal connection with someone you're inviting to connect, use that. It's not going to hurt you, but just make sure it's authentic and real. Now, if you haven't done this before, it can be a little intimidating, right? You might see people in that list that are in positions that seem like they're way up here, and you wouldn't, walk up to them necessarily at a networking event and just stick out your hand and say, "Hey, I'm so and so," and because there's that natural fear of rejection. You hit that invite button, you're not sure if they're going to respond, and so that's okay. I have it, and I'm pretty sure all of us have that. And I would just encourage you to fight it with everything that's in you, because the third thing that you need to do to be optimizing your connections, is adding value to people, adding value to them. And so when you are sitting there hovering over that invite button, should I invite them or not? I would encourage you to search deep and realize that you have the ability to add value to them. Something about your knowledge, your experience, you have the ability to add value to them. So do not let the fear of rejection hold you back on that. The third thing you need to do, again, is to create and add value through your own engagement. Create posts that are interesting, or write an article that shares your expertise. You can curate great articles and posts from other people in your own network by sharing their posts. To optimize your own LinkedIn, you have to begin adding your voice to the conversation. Someone much smarter than me said, leadership is communication. Each of us has something that needs to be communicated. And in a sense, developing your sphere of influence on LinkedIn through that communication is developing your leadership ability. In her poem, Our Deepest Fear, Marianne Williamson says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is not that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You have something valuable to add to the conversation. Find it, refine it, communicate it, and become the thought leader in your sphere of influence." This is the hardest part of optimizing your connections. It takes time. It takes concentration. It's hard for me sometimes because there's a million and one other things going on around me and in my head. And so sometimes to create good content or to create a post that is worth someone else reading, I have to step back and really concentrate and focus. And that takes time. It takes a commitment to do that. But you can do it, and it's worth doing. But you can also, you don't have to make every post a dissertation, right? It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. You can give people bite-sized chunks of your knowledge and bite-sized chunks of value. And you can also do what I encourage you to do as the fourth thing to optimize your connections. You can acknowledge the value that people in your network are giving you. So read the posts that others are writing. Show them that you read it. Engage with it, like it, comment on it, and disagree with them sometimes. A simple like on someone's post can go a long way. When you scroll through your Facebook post, or when you scroll through your Facebook feed, it's not uncommon to see people with posts that have 20 to sometimes 100 or more likes. However, when you looked on your LinkedIn feed for local posts, and now if you follow people that are kind of big on a national level, that's different. But for your local connections, I challenge you, go through your newsfeed on LinkedIn. It's uncommon to see someone with more than 10 likes on a post. And when I was preparing for this, I scrolled through mine just to double check and make sure I wasn't making that number up. And sure enough, there was not one person that I could find in my local network that had a post with more than 10 likes. And most of them had 0. So taking the time to read and engage with someone on LinkedIn has exponentially more weight to it than it does on Facebook. It shows someone, hey, you actually read my post. you took the time to read it, to like it. If you can comment on it, fantastic. If you share it and tag them in it, oh my goodness, you're going to be their best friend. So take the time and do that. If we go back to this concept of LinkedIn being a sandbox, if you will, for leadership development, then we can see that engaging with other people's content, adding your voice to their conversation, building their profile, tagging them on your page. It's the online equivalent of servant leadership. It's hearing in order to be heard, and acknowledging the value that individuals in your network are giving you is a simple, easy, important step for you to optimize your connections. And it doesn't require you spending a whole lot of brain energy on it, right? You can go and you can do this right now, but do it thoughtfully, right? Do it, don't just go through and like everybody's thing, but do it thoughtfully. And if you can, add to their post by commenting on it and engaging with them. So I want to leave you with a few other little just pieces of technical nuts and bolts type of advice really quick. A lot of people have never written an article on LinkedIn. We should have put that in the poll questions, but most of the people I know have not written articles on LinkedIn. And so I just wanted to show you what that looks like, so that you're just a little bit familiar with it. And if you want to go out and write an article, you can. An article on LinkedIn is like a blog article, essentially. However, it lives on LinkedIn, and people can interact with it and share it and do things with it without leaving the site. And so it's really simple to do. Instead of starting a post right here, you can click on write an article. And when you click on that write an article link, it's going to take you to a screen that looks something like this. And it'll give you the option to put a cover photo at the top, give it a headline, and then you can just start typing and adding content. You can add images. It is really, if you've ever written a blog post at all, it's pretty much the exact same. You get some formatting options up here, and then you click publish. And so at one point, and Tanya might be able to speak to this a little bit better, but at one point LinkedIn was giving preference to articles showing up in people's news feeds. And it's a good way to show your expertise and to share your knowledge with folks. The other thing you can do with it is once you have posted a few articles, you can add this to your featured section on your profile. And this is a nice way to really curate visually some of your content that you've created. If you add a featured snippet on your profile, you can add those articles. You can also add posts and other things, but the articles show up really nicely that they put the cover photos up there. And it's a good way to highlight those. And one last thing, when you're making all these changes on your post, when you're changing your job title or doing other things, if you go to your privacy settings, which is the drop down from your profile picture up at the top, go to your privacy settings. You probably want to turn this off just so people in your connection aren't being bombarded with updates while you're editing things. Just a few little tidbits. If you're using your LinkedIn profile to build up your business page, then you need to start with your personal profile. Unless your business is so large that it kind of has its own gravity, if it's a large national brand, and people just want to follow it because of who that business is, you're gonna have to start with your personal profile, and that's gonna raise the tide. It's gonna help you raise the tide for your business page. And Tanya's gonna talk a little bit more about optimizing your business page. But before that, I think we've got one other poll question that we want to look at. We ask you this: what platforms have you used advertising on, or paid advertising on? Most of you, 53%, have used Facebook. That's not surprising. Boosted posts and whatnot. Twitter, that is surprising. No one has used Twitter for paid advertising. Instagram, I would venture to say that more 13% of you said you've used Instagram. I'd venture to say that probably more have, but just unknowingly, because Facebook sometimes automatically puts those ads into Instagram. And 13% of you, 4 people have used LinkedIn ads, which is great. LinkedIn has a great advertising platform, and 20% of you did not know you could advertise on social media. So thank you for taking that poll. And I'm going to hand it back over to Tanya.
Good morning again, friends. So we've walked through what our personal profiles look like, and that's our foundation building. Then we've walked through how do we connect with other people. And Jeremy did a great job about being intentional and strategic with those connections. What you build on that personal profile is how people recognize you in the connections, which you've probably seen it. Other people that you may know from University of Tennessee. LinkedIn knows that University of Tennessee might be important to you because that was one of your educational experiences. What you build in that foundational profile is how you are recognized and how you can potentially connect. So that's why that foundation is important first. Then building those strategic connections gives you that opportunity to build thought leadership, to build those connections that could potentially result in whatever your professional goals are. So our third part is how do we develop your business page? Business page is different than your personal profile, but you do need that personal profile first because we do connect with people. But your business page is going to validate your business reputation, and it's going to help you continue to develop those relationships. So what are your business goals? Every platform should reflect whatever business goals that you have. It's not just another thing that you have to have, but how can it help you strategically reach those end results? So if you don't already have a business page, that's where you want to start. The easiest way to do that is on your profile page. If you look in the upper right section, you'll see a pull-down menu called Work. When you click on Work and you pull all the way to the bottom of it, create a business page. Follow through those sections and you can create that page. If you don't already have that, that's the first place to start. If you do have it, let's look at how you're branding yourself on that page. You want to keep that updated. If your logo has changed over time, make sure that your logo is reflected there. Use the cover section to reflect whatever's happening with you all right now. We're in the Hustle from Home series, our virtual workshops. So that's what we're reflecting to show the value that we want to give to other people in our network right now. Remember though, that LinkedIn is business to business focused. You're building networks that could potentially result in those sales or those connections that you want. So keep that focused in on that. And this is your virtual business location. You may have that brick and mortar location. LinkedIn is a great way to continue to expand that connection. Keep your descriptions and your info valid and update them. You may have new products that you're offering. You may be working in a different area. You may have had a massive success recently. Highlight that and put that out there. There are other people who will connect with that information and see that you can help them meet their pain points so that they too can benefit from what you have to offer. Now, some of the questions that I've already seen come through on chat, and Jeremy touched on a few of them on the personal side of things, is what do we post? What do we share? Great questions. Similar to how Jeremy described it for your personal profile page, think about that for your business page also. And think about the audiences that you want to reach. First of all, you got to have an audience. So you need to get people to follow your business page. Just like we got to get them to come in your brick and mortar, or we've got to get them to call you or connect with you the same way. We want what you're sharing to be seen. Individuals invite people to your business page. So this is you. If you're the business owner, if you're helping in this business, if you're the primary salesperson, invite other people to follow the page. Then post content that is going to be engaging on that posting and share schedule. Be the educator. Just like I recommend with all social media is relationship first and sales second. You have to build the relationship with someone before they're going to trust you to buy from you. However, we also know that usually about 70% of people go with the first person who helped them with the problem. So be the person that helps them with whatever problems that is. That may be through providing education, providing engaging content that's going to grab someone's attention. That can be a scrollable PDF that you're creating, a video that you may already have for your business, or other forms of engagement. Like we recommend on all social media, include the graphic. You have about a 50% higher chance of engagement if there's a graphic, a video, something attached to it, and not just words in the post. You do want to hold this within your business confines or your community confines. This is not where you're sharing pictures of your personal family vacation, but you are sharing how your business volunteered recently at Second Harvest. And you're tagging out Second Harvest and the chamber and anybody else who made that happen, because you want to show how your company is impacting the community. Create that schedule of what you want to share out, and also look at what your employees may be contributing. I value that Jeremy recognizes that my personal page is my personal page, but he also knows that I'm going to promote Epic 9 and focus in on marketing and how we can impact our community. If your employees are writing articles that are valuable, share those over on your business page. You want to get good information out there that will allow you to continually connect. Also, if you have that relationship with your employees, it's okay to ask your employees to share your content, but again, that's an ask. That's not a demand, because your personal LinkedIn page is your personal LinkedIn page. We do know that employees are 14 times more likely to share content from their employers than other types of content. We also know that information that is shared personally has a 7 times greater engagement rate than it does if it's shared from a business. This goes back to people engage with people. We want to share that information that's going to reach in the right ways. I encourage you, create your content calendars. What's important for your business over the next 30, 60, and 90 days? What's that information that you want to get out there? What's valuable to the people in your network that you can educate them with, that you can give them the tools that they need to succeed on your business? And think through those pieces. Yes, you can schedule on LinkedIn. It's a little bit difficult to walk through that process. If you want to talk to me about it, feel free to reach out to me afterward, and I'll be glad to walk you through some of the scheduling. But you have that ability so that it's not something you have to wake up every morning at 6 o'clock and think, oh my golly, I have to get something out today. Think through that process. You get info that LinkedIn provides on your business page. If you flip over to your business page, make sure you're in admin view. That'll be in the upper right corner of your page. But over on the left side, you'll be able to see content. If you click on that content, you'll see that LinkedIn's going to say, hey, based on some of the information you gave me when setting up your business page, here's some valuable content that might be valuable to your followers. You can share that through. You can choose to look at other types of content. You can even change up the content that you want LinkedIn to tell you about so that you have some suggestions there. Also, right next to content, you have analytics. Analytics is one of the best tools that you have to see what results are you getting on LinkedIn. Who's visiting your page? Who's engaging your page? You can narrow down all that information even by location, job titles, etc. Change all that data into the strategy that you want for your page. What's attracting the certain audiences? Were there certain types of posts or article shares or information that got the best attraction or best results? And then continue to build on that. As we talked about with our last poll question, social media advertising is extremely valuable, but not everybody knows that it exists. The one point that separates LinkedIn from the rest of your digital marketing world is LinkedIn can target in very specifically on job titles, demographics, and other types of work-related information. It is more expensive than other forms of digital marketing, but your cost versus the value that you get of it out of the end is well worth it. This, however, says that you have to go back and know what's a customer worth to you. What are you willing to spend to bring that new customer into the house? And what's that long-term value of the customer? You'll be amazed at the lead generation that you can pull off of LinkedIn advertising. But unfortunately, that's going to be a totally different discussion for another day and would take a whole lot more of our time. But LinkedIn business pages give you that opportunity to set up that virtual business location, be that thought leader as a business, and potentially even reach out in some very specific marketing options. So now's the time for you all to be thinking about what are you going to do with the information that we've just dumped on you today. You may be the one looking for that new job. You may be trying to find somebody else to join your team. You may want to be that community leader or that thought leader. So work your way back through and think, what does my profile look like to begin with? How am I strategically connecting? And what's my business looking like on LinkedIn? And then use all of that to create that world that you want to create and reach those goals. So we want to open it up for Q&As right now. So let's look at the questions that we have already. Feel free to drop your questions in there. So we're going to start with Laura Beth from Olivia. I've heard that scheduling social media posts ahead of time can affect the reach and engagement of the post. Is that true? Great question, Laura Beth. Sometimes it does. It depends on if you use a third-party platform to make that happen. And for those of you who may not be familiar with third-party, the first party is the platform you're actually posting on, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. A third party can be something similar to Hootsuite, Sprout Social, other types like that. So while that is a really good question, I encourage you look at your analytics over time. Each company, each person may see different results with that. So run some tests on that to see. Also, you may want to play around with your timing on when you do schedule your post. See what's the best time. You may find that a 9 a.m. post versus a 9 p.m. post may reach completely different people. So play around with those types of posts also. Good question though, Laura Beth. Did that help answer your question? You can shake your head. I got a thumbs up. Great. Great.
We have another question from Karen Berkey. It says, how should your business profile reflect your personal profile and vice versa? Sometimes it's hard to navigate on both and know what to put on your business page versus your personal page. Should your business profile pic be your logo? And should your content reflect your industry?
Great question.
I would say, yeah, go ahead. You go for it.
Your picture should reflect your business in some form or fashion. We have a very recognizable logo at Epic 9. We have a dragon. And with the yellows and the blacks, that's very distinct and set apart. So that's recognizable even in our small logo picture. And then we also use that in our banner also. So I encourage you, think about what best reflects your industry. If you're in the insurance industry, the real estate industry, etc., you want your face up there because you are connecting personally with people somewhere, but you also want them to recognize your business and your logo because they're connecting with your company there. So play around with that and see what works best for you. I don't know of any statistics yet, but now I will go look for them just to see if there's any backup info on that. And we'll be glad to share that out with you if we find it. Jeremy, did you have a follow-up for that?
I think you answered all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Then one from Stacy says, the analytics and content suggestions are only provided on business pages, or are they also available on personal pages?
The analytics and contents are designed specifically for business. If you want to know more about your analytics on your personal, that's where LinkedIn would love for you to have a paid account. You can find out a lot of information about who's engaging with your page, who's looking at your profile, etc., through the paid account. Please use the free trial first and see if that's the information you want and how best to use that info. Okay, let's see what else we got.
Sandy asked if you started out a long time ago when LinkedIn first came around and you just kind of went crazy with it like you do on Facebook. You friended everybody. You didn't really have a strategy to it. Now your LinkedIn profile is kind of a mess. Should you just scrap it and start over, or go through and declutter the one that you have?
I would say whatever's easier for you right now. It may be easier that you can go with what you have, see what links are no longer really connecting well with you. You may find that some of those links that you made are actually potential connections like Jeremy described. What value can you bring to them, and what value can their network bring to you? So look through that. Also, think about what it might look like if you have that second account set up. Would you want to disable your first one completely, then have to start all over? So I would look at the value that the first one might bring you and start from there.
Yeah, and Shara made a good comment. She said people aren't notified when you defriend them on LinkedIn or reject an invite. So you don't have to worry about any fallout from that unless people are just really stalking you and know that you didn't accept their invite.
Good comment, Shara.
Another, Elizabeth asked, what makes a great headshot for your profile?
That's a good question. Elizabeth, you have a good headshot. I've seen your headshots. But that good headshot is going to be about 50 to 75% of your face and reflect who you want to be. Make sure you're smiling in that so that when we first see you, you are engaging with someone. Don't have a cluttered background. Make sure that we can see your face well. And if you are in that tighter industry, then look more like what that industry expects. If you're more in the creative industry, look like what that industry expects. I've seen some great ones of podcasters. They're wearing their headphones and et cetera in their profile. That's how they're known in their industry. So it's okay to look like how you're known in your industry. If I see your headshot, I'd love to see something extremely similar when we meet at the next in-person chamber function, so that I don't have to look and say, I don't even know who that person is. Does that make sense, Elizabeth? Okay, any other questions? Get to know each other. If you haven't yet, before we close this out, screenshot everybody that's on here. And then go send LinkedIn requests today. And in the message that you send them, you can say, hey, I saw you at the LinkedIn workshop with the Chamber in Epic 9 this morning. Would love to connect further. And that is a great way to continue connections that you're making now into that virtual next step world, and then into the physical world when we get to be social again.
So had one other question come through. Someone asked, they repotted themselves, as a plant being taken from one pot to another. They went from one industry that was healthcare and IT related, and now they're in structural steel, which is kind of night and day difference. Any ideas for how to make that switch the best on LinkedIn?
That is a great question, and it's something that I did 2 years ago. I went from 18 years in nonprofit to for-profit and went into marketing for profit. So I used my LinkedIn profile as an opportunity to continue to get new information out there. You want to think about what you want your future goals to be with your present job, but also highlight the contributions that your former job made toward that. So go in and look at that previous experience that you may have listed, tweak it up. What's valuable in that previous experience that contributes to your present and your future? You can change those job descriptions. You can change that job information. It's not static forever. You get that opportunity to rewrite it and make it valuable. Also, highlight all the contributions that you're making in the community now that are going to help lead you toward your present and future direction. So use your LinkedIn to do that. Also, look at those strategic and intentional connections that you can make in your current field. Jeremy made some great points with who's the thought leaders in the field that you're in now. It may be local, it may be national, international. Make sure that you're connecting and following them. This is an amazing opportunity to rebrand you, and you can control that branding on LinkedIn. Does that help? It's okay to say no. I see no shaking of heads.
We'll make sure we send out the presentation, and I think Tammy has a recording of this as well. So we'll make sure that gets sent out to everyone afterwards. But I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and being a part of this today. Hope it's been valuable to everyone. Thank you to the Blunt Partnership for partnering with us on this, and thank you to Tanya. Great job.
Great job, Jeremy. And thank you all. It was great to see you.
So great questions today, Tanya, Jeremy, thank you so very much. We did, we are recording this. So if you came in the middle or towards the end, you will be able to see it. We'll have it available tomorrow. We have a new webinars section on our website. So go there and take a look or send it to a friend. But you all did a fabulous job, and thank you. And thank you to all. Good to see everybody today, and everybody go forth and be fruitful.
And I miss you all.
See you all.